Hello there, my name's Kelly, and if you've clicked on my video today, you'd obviously like to find out a little bit more about personal insolvency practitioners, who we are and what we do, and therefore how we could help you if you've got some problems with your debts and your mortgages. So personal insolvency practitioners, are PIPs for short, are people who have been designated under personal insolvency legislation, which was only brought into place approximately 6 years ago by law to help people who are in debt, who can't deal with all of their creditors and who can't afford to pay back everybody that they owe money to on the basis which they originally borrowed it. So for you, that could be that your house mortgage is a little bit too high in terms of what you can afford day to day. It might mean that your investment property hasn't done very well. It may have been sold and there's still a bit of a debt left over, or your credit union or your store card, or possibly your credit cards or your bank loans. So we're professionals. We're located in different counties around the country, and we specialise in helping people like you who are struggling with their debts and who need somebody to help them, to advise them in terms of what they can afford and help them deal with the banks, and if necessary take the formal steps under the insolvency legislation to agree a solution that works for them. So as I said, we're based around the country. We're all legislated for and governed by the Insolvency Service of Ireland. That means that we've come through a qualification process and selection process, and there's approximately 30 people registered with the Back on Track website, and there's about 50 or 60 personal insolvency practitioners around the country. So you can get in contact with us either by a referral from the MABS offices, that's the Money and Advice Budgeting Services Centre, whereby you've contacted them because you're under some financial pressure and you really don't know what to do. They will discuss with you whether or not you may benefit from the services of a personal insolvency practitioner. If you have a mortgage that's in arrears, in that case the services can actually be free to you under the Ewali voucher scheme, and the MABS offices will help you to get one of those vouchers. Either that, or you can look us up through the Back on Track website, in which case you can find a PIP who's close to you, or maybe somebody that you know has already been through this process and recommends that you talk to them because they found them easy to deal with. Usually the first port of contact will be a call or an email. Then what will happen, and it can feel a bit difficult, it can feel a bit intrusive, but really the PIP needs to know an awful lot about you in order to be able to identify the best solution for you in terms of the arrears and the financial problems that you're in. So unfortunately, a bit like the banks, we have our forms, we have a standard financial statement that we need to get information into. So really what we need to do, identify basically, is your income. How much money is coming into the house? Now that could be you, that could be your partner, spouse, it could be adult children who are also still living at home. And then what you have going out on a day-to-day basis. Between the two, then what we'll understand is how much you can afford to pay to the people you owe money to. Our priority will always be in terms of your family home mortgage. That's what keeps the roof over your head. That's what keeps you safe and your family. And then the secondary debts will always be those unsecured debts. So that'll be the credit union loan or the bank loan, credit card. If you have, for example, a lease or hire purchase in a car that you need on a day-to-day basis, we'll try and take account of that to make sure that you keep your mode of transport. So once we've gone through and understood you, your family, your income and outgoings, and who you owe money to, we'll come up with a recommendation in relation to what type of insolvency solution may be best for you. We may suggest that you go back to MABS if your debts are primarily unsecured and at less than $35,000 a year. Or we may discuss a debt settlement arrangement, or sometimes we may recommend a bankruptcy. And that would be where we feel that there isn't enough income there on a day-to-day basis that's available to you, which we could approach your creditors with and reach a settlement agreement with them. The process of assessment and the timeline for that really is dependent on getting all that paperwork in together, the supporting documentations you're asked for. So for example, if you tell us you're getting €500 a week in terms of your wages, we need to see that on a bank statement or on a payslip. If you're self-employed, we're simply going to look for a set of accounts, or maybe your last income tax return from revenue. That gives us the information that we need, which confirms what you're telling us. And we are subject to oversight by the Insolvency Service of Ireland. So they come in, they look at our files, and if we don't have your paperwork on file, basically we haven't done our job properly. And obviously we want to do our job properly to best support you. If we don't have the information altogether, we will go back and we'll ask you for it. If there are specific circumstances around you and your family, for example, medical costs, etc., we'll talk to you about those and we'll provide for those. So once we have your income, we understand your outgoings, then we know what's affordable for you to pay to your creditors. We identify the solution for you and we give you a recommendation. As I said at the beginning, if you're within the WALI scheme, that assessment, that analysis is completely free of charge to you. And the PIP, like myself, will claim for that fee to the government under the voucher scheme. If you decide to move ahead and work with the insolvency practitioner, then they will move forward and they'll make the formal applications based on what's been agreed with you through the courts. They represent you in the courts, you don't need to attend, and they'll talk to your creditors on your behalf. So you find that a lot of the pressure in terms of dealing with the banks, the phone calls and everything, moves away when you start dealing with a personal insolvency practitioner. Our job is to be in the middle between you and your bank and to understand and identify what's affordable for you, what's fair to the banks, and what's the best solution all round. So that's what personal insolvency practitioners do. That's who we are. And if you're looking for a list of them, you can go to the Back on Track website. Or if you're looking to speak to me, you'll see just above there. Feel free to email us or give us a call and we'll be delighted to talk to you. Thank you.